Well, hello, people. How's everybody doing on this fine Saturday afternoon, evening? It's not even afternoon anymore. Jesus, it's already almost dark here. It's only
Yeah,
7 o'clock my time. That's
same here.
ridiculous. That is messed up, man. I don't like that. Although, it doesn't bother me that much, but still, like, why is it gotta be dark at 7 o'clock? Of course, I guess it's better down here than when I lived in Dallas growing up my entire, life. Like right in the middle of winter, like it is dark at 5 p.m. up there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, oh my God. Sorry, I was looking
Limited time
something
to
up
do
here real
everything.
quick. So down here, I think the earliest it gets dark is around 6 because we're far enough south. We're further enough south. That's what I almost fucking said.
Yeah. Well, you are Texan, so it's befitting.
That's true. That's true. I am. But anyway, we are here for Geek Chat on this Saturday afternoon. We are joined by just me and Corey. That's it. Like, it's just the two of us right now. Duke had issues. He said he lost power and that he was trying to get his power back or so. They had storms or something out there. And, I think he's just making excuses because he didn't pay his power bill or something. I don't know. But anyway, but he said he's going to join. He just said he'd be late. And then we'll see if anybody else shows up. So in the meantime, it's just the two of us sitting here having fun, talking about some geek shit for the next, I don't know, hour and a half, whatever. I don't know. We'll see how long this lasts. Already got a super chat coming in. Tom F. just dropped in a super chat. Didn't say anything. Thank you, Tom. Appreciate that, as always. But but yeah, we are here. Let's see.
Can I start this off real quick with
please, by all means.
Actually, I know we talked about this, I think last week, but Joel Kinnaman playing in The Informer. Wife and I watched that the other night for the first time. Dude, that was a badass movie.
That movie, The Informer, is a great movie.
It is.
I can't remember where I found it. I didn't even know this was a movie that existed, and then I found it. I don't know, maybe it was Amazon or something. I can't remember where.
I think so.
And it was just like popped up in a list of recommendations. And it was very similar to Shot Caller. Kind of, not real. I mean, it was and it wasn't.
Better.
It had some similarities between the two. So it was that kind of movie, where a guy's trying to, do the right thing, whatever, ends up in prison. Anyway, it was actually a really good movie. I actually like Joel Kinnaman a lot.
I do too. I liked him so much better in The Informer than I did as Rick Flag in Suicide Squad. And I mean, it has to do with the directing and everything, because some parts in that show he had, kind of serious moments, and others it's like, dude, you're fucking retarded. What, like? Yeah. But I know that was directing. But no,
I'm not a big fan of Suicide Squad, the first movie at all. Really, the second movie I like a lot. But the first movie I'm not a fan of at all. So the only good thing that movie had going for it was it introduced Harley Quinn, and she was a good character. I didn't like the movie she was in, but she was a good character. The rest of the characters, I mean, Will Smith was just playing Will Smith. Like, he wasn't even really playing Deadshot. He's just playing Will Smith in that movie. And I get it, because he's Will Smith, and that's what he does, and that's why you bring people in. You know what I mean? Somebody like that, you bring them in to just play themselves. But come on, like, it wasn't good. I think Bloodsport in the second movie was a way better character than Deadshot was in the first movie.
Yep, I would agree. And Will Smith's acting versus Deadshot and Gemini Man was pretty much identical, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, well, because that's all he does. He just plays Will Smith. I mean, well, okay. And to give him credit, though, he has been in some really good movies like Pursuit of Happiness and stuff, where he's played completely different characters. He's not just being Will Smith. And he does a good job at that. When he does it, he just rarely does it. Like in Ollie and Pursuit of Happiness are really the only two I can think of off the top of my head. And then half the time when he's just playing Will Smith, it's still fun, whether it's Men in Black or Bad Boys or whatever, Independence Day. Like, it's still fun. It just, I didn't care for it in Suicide Squad. I just,
Even that one he did with his son, the other one with, was it After Earth or something like that?
Oh God.
That was an okay movie, but God Almighty, the acting was horrible most of
His
the time.
son sucks and should never be in front of a camera. That's the problem with that movie. I mean, first of all, the story wasn't that great,
No.
and second, the main character is a horrible actor. So, like, it just no. There was I think there was a good idea there for that movie.
100%,
Like the idea behind it was good. It was just executed really poorly because they just got the wrong person to play that part. Like, and even and honestly, I mean, maybe the right person would have sold it for me. But I'll say even with the right person in it, the story itself of just him trying to survive on the planet was okay at best. You know what I mean? So it wasn't like that plot, like the idea, the whole bigger world of the story was cool. And you know, I don't know, maybe a better actor would have made that a much more enjoyable movie. But his son is just not a good actor.
He did okay in Pursuit of Happiness because I mean he was young and he
because he's because he didn't have to do anything, you know. And it was a Will Smith movie. Will Smith was the star, and he's just playing the kid, and he was fine in that, you know, because he wasn't really doing anything. He didn't have hardly any lines. He was just the kid, so he was fine in that. I didn't have a problem with that. But him as the star of just like I can't stand that fucking Karate Kid remake.
Yeah, it was not that
first
good.
of all, it's Will Smith's kid. I don't remember the kid's name, but whatever. Will Smith's kid, who Jaden can't fucking act for shit. Second, it's called Karate Kid. It takes place in China, starring fucking Jackie Chan. What? That's not karate. That's kung fu. Those are two very, very different martial arts from different parts of the world. Like, what the hell? So I just have all kinds of problems with that movie. But but anyway, yeah. But no, to go back to it, The Informant is a good movie. If you guys haven't checked it out, search it out. Again, I don't remember where it's on, but try Amazon, try Prime. That might be where I saw it. I don't remember exactly, but it's a good movie.
Definitely.
Let's see. We already got another super chat here from Ryan Jones. Says Frankenstein's monster versus Solomon Grundy. I think Solomon Grundy takes that. Frankenstein monster like is strong and stuff, but Solomon Grundy is like supernaturally strong and can't die and all this stuff. Like you can kill Frankenstein because he is, you know, strong and big and tough and everything, but he can still die because they brought him to life, which means he can die. Solomon Grundy can't really die. So, I mean, I'll give that one to Solomon Grundy.
What did you think of the Aaron Eckhart representation of what was it, I, Frankenstein, where he played Frankenstein's monster?
So to me, there's a lot. That's actually a movie I enjoy watching occasionally, just because it's a great way to I just kind of feel like watching something I don't have to think about. I think the concept of the story was really cool. Unfortunately, I think that movie came out in the wake of all the Underworld movies, where it was like, oh, let's do some cool supernatural dudes and chicks who fucking kick ass and fight like it's the Matrix or some shit. And so that movie's kind of just a ripoff of Underworld in a lot of ways. And I don't think it was done very well. However, I liked Aaron Eckhart as, you know, Frankenstein's monster. And I thought just the idea that, you know, it's modern times and Frankenstein's monster is still around and you've got angels and demons and he's kind of in the middle of it. The concept was really cool. I don't think it was executed well, but I do think there's enough like cool action and stuff in it that it's kind of a fun movie to watch, but I wouldn't call it a good movie.
Yeah, I thought it was cool how they, you know, introduced, you know, gargoyles and stuff in there. I thought that was, you know, interesting.
The gargoyles, which are basically, you know, angels, but like, again, very cool concept. I would have loved to seen that movie done better with still Aaron Eckhart as Frankenstein's monster. I think he did a great job as that part. He was a great choice for the part. I just think the movie just tried too much to be Underworld, and it just wasn't done well. And it just felt like an Underworld copy to me. And so
I can see that, yeah.
So it was just kind of like, you know, it was okay, but I still like it, you know. So, but yeah, it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. Oh, Patrick Pew Pew out in the chat says it's free on Netflix. Okay, The Informant's on Netflix then. Okay, there you go. I couldn't remember. I know I streamed it somewhere. I don't know, maybe like 6 months ago or something. Maybe over the summer. I can't remember. And I honestly, I only watched it because it had Joel Kinnaman in it. I didn't know what the fuck the movie was about. I had never heard of it. I'd never seen a trailer. I just read the description on Netflix and was like, oh, I was like, all right, I'll put it on, and just because I don't know, I was killing time on a movie or something, and yeah, and it was legitimately really good. So I enjoyed it quite a bit. Let's see, what else is there to talk about? Oh God, did you watch Walking Dead? You don't really watch Walking Dead though, do you?
I haven't started the new season yet. No.
First of all, I'm very confused how many episodes this season even has, because I watched the last episode, which was episode 22, and it's, first of all, I've looked it up several times. The season is supposed to have 24 episodes, but at the end of episode 22, when there would only be 2 episodes left, it says 2 more episodes until the finale. Now, what does that mean to you? When they say 2 more episodes until the finale,
that means 2 more episodes.
Like, because I was like, okay, so we've got to watch 2 more episodes and then the finale, or 2 episodes from, anyway.
2 more episodes is the finale, is how I would think it would be.
Yeah. The short of this last episode was that it was mildly better than the other episodes that have come out since it's kicked back up here in the last few weeks. Not because the story was good, but just because this episode completely focused on Negan, and he's kind of become like the best character on the show to watch. He's the most enjoyable character to watch. But I don't know what the fuck they're doing with 2 episodes left. There's like nothing happening in this goddamn show. Like, for real. Like, what the shit? You're this close to the end of a show that's been on for 11 seasons, 12 years total. At one point, and for several years, the biggest show on television.
Oh, yeah. Hands down. Yeah.
And then still one of the biggest shows on television, even though it hasn't been really good for a while. And it's just shit. I mean, it really is. It's boring. The show is fucking boring.
Did they get a new director or something that's just coming and fucked it up?
Well, it's been like this basically since Rick left the show. True. And that was what, season 9? Or was that 8? 8 or 9? 8, I can't remember when he left the show. And like, it just has kind of dragged along. The whole Whisper War thing was sucked. There's been some good episodes sprinkled out here and there, but most of it's just sucked and been boring. So this last episode really wasn't any different, except it was mildly better than what we've been getting, only because it focused so much on Negan. And he's a good character on the show. In fact, I think Negan is done better on the show than he was in the comic. And so, that was really the only saving grace of this last episode. And even that wasn't, enough to make it like a good episode. It was just like, oh, okay, I'm not 100% bored watching this.
I'm just waiting for the spinoffs.
Yeah, but again, with 2 episodes left, this is the level of shit you're giving us. Stuff that's watchable. Like, that's the nicest thing I can say about it, is it was watchable.
This should have been the best season yet out of all the other ones previous. You want to end it on such a high note that it just overshadows the bad seasons, quote unquote, or the shitty episodes.
Yeah, and it's not, and there's still like this. The Commonwealth is the name of this town that's like the big new enemy or whatever, right?
Yeah,
and has been since last season.
Where Eugene
this story should have been fucking over with last season. Like, I don't know why we're still in it. There's nothing significant happening. It's just kind of slowly getting to the point. Even if you've never read the comic, like, it's not like you don't know what the fuck's going to happen. I mean, eventually they're going to, defeat the evil fucking governor of this, or whatever she calls herself. I can't remember what she calls herself, but the governor of this town. I mean, that's it. Like, there's no other place to go. It's literally the same thing they did with the Saviors, with the Wolves, with Woodbury. I mean, like some new bad guy that runs a town or something is the, and eventually they defeat him. Like, it's not like there's anywhere else for this to go, and it should have been over with already. You should have, like, at least we were getting 6 episodes left at the end. We should have gotten something new and significant. And while they are sitting there and dropping these little hints about how the zombies are changing, like there was one interesting part in the last episode, just in that one of the zombies actually picks up a knife.
Really?
Yeah, and so they've been doing this on the show for the last few episodes. They did it in the last 8 episodes of Fear the Walking Dead that came out over the summer. They did it in the last season over the summer of Walking Dead World Beyond, where you're seeing the zombies evolve. And they're starting to do things they normally wouldn't do, right? That should have been the focus of this last 6 episodes, is that shit. Because that shit's far more exciting at this point and a better story to tell than all this crap. We've been dealing with, humans are the real bad guys since fucking season 1, but at least in the first, 4 seasons, as much as the governor was a bad guy, as much as there was crazy crap going on at the farm and they would run into gangs or this or that or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. The zombies were still the biggest threat. And it was much more entertaining when the zombies were the biggest threat. It was a better show.
Do you think they're going to head towards the direction of maybe their brains are starting to fire back up and they're kind of like, what was that, Warm Bodies, where they started coming back to more humanity?
Yes, that's exactly what's happening. Because like I said, if you've watched Fear the Walking Dead, if you watch the second season of Walking Dead World Beyond, and then a couple of times in this last 6 episodes of Walking Dead, they're doing stuff they normally wouldn't do. They're picking up weapons. They're turning doorknobs. They can now. There's some of them that are running instead of just shuffling around, like they're actually still running. So there are things going on, and the zombies are evolving to some level. I mean, who knows what all the details and the specifics of that are and how they're going to flesh that out. That certainly appears to be what the part of the big plot for the Daryl spinoff is going to be. I don't think that's going to really have much to do with the plot of the Rick and Michonne show. And I don't know if it's going to have anything to do with the plot of the Negan and Maggie spinoff show, Dead City. But I know it's going to be a part of the show with Daryl, the one that takes place in France, because that's where the Daryl show takes place. And I know this because the end of Walking Dead World Beyond specifically took place in France, and it specifically showed zombies doing shit, or a specific zombie doing shit that normally zombies don't do. Mm-hmm. So I'm pretty sure that's what's going to happen there, which I'm interested in that way more than I am this stupid chick governor at the Commonwealth. The Commonwealth as a storyline has sucked through and through from beginning to end. It has not been good. It wasn't even that great in the comics. It was better in the comics than it is here, but it wasn't that great in the comics. And they've now stretched this out over the course of the last 2 seasons.
So I have a question about the comic version of it then.
Mm-hmm.
Did they ever at all through the comics explain what kicked everything off for the zombie apocalypse? And do you think if they didn't, would they explain it in the show, any of the spinoffs or whatever?
The comics never explain the origins of the virus and the zombies. However, in the show, I feel like, again, going back to the Daryl thing that takes place in France, because of what we saw in Walking Dead World Beyond, I do feel like that is something that's going to be a plot point. See, whether or not we actually find out for sure what did it, or whether part of the plot is people trying to find out, I do think that's going to come back into that storyline. So,
because the only one we ever saw really working on it to try to figure out was the doctor from the CDC in season 1.
Yeah, and like I said, he makes an appearance in the end of Walking Dead World Beyond. And what I mean by he makes an appearance, they're showing a recording from him on a computer, and there's another scientist watching that. And it is the message that we saw from season 1 of Walking Dead, where he was talking to his computer and sending a message to another scientific facility in France. And we're seeing in France a scientist watching that. So, yes, I do think that that's going to play a role, at least in that spinoff. If it plays a role in anything else, I don't know. But in that one, it will. I don't know about Fear the Walking Dead. Like I said, there was a couple times where zombies did some things that were unusual. But I don't know if that's really going to play much into the next season or not. We just have to wait and see about that, because it certainly seemed like they were setting up a new big bad in the last episode of Fear the Walking Dead for this coming season, which had nothing to do with zombies, because once again, it was just another group of bad humans. So I don't know. I don't know what to do with that, but it's like I said, it's just really disappointing that this is what we're getting at the end of The Walking Dead, the original show, the one that used to be so fucking great, that #1 show on television, and we're 2 episodes from the end. We got 2 episodes left after 12 years, and I'm bored.
Yeah, I got real bored with the fucking Whispers.
Yeah, the Whispers, it was such a bad storyline. It was a bad storyline that went on way too long. They drug it out for 2 seasons.
Yep.
And it should have been 1 season at the most. And it just, it was bad. It was bad. It was worse than the Saviors, which got drug out for 3 seasons, I think.
God,
I remember right. And that drug on a lot. And this was worse. This was worse by a lot. Another super chat from Ryan says Hellboy versus Solomon Grundy. I don't see. I mean, the majority of what I know about Hellboy, I know from the movies, because I never read the comic. That was a comic book I never read. Like, I know who he is, but most of my knowledge comes from the movies, and I don't know how accurate they are to the comic. But I think he's supposed to be pretty damn powerful once he taps into like his hell powers and shit, But I don't know if he's, because I mean, I guess kind of the thing about Solomon Grundy is he basically just can't die, So I don't even know if Hellboy could kill him. I don't know. I think Hellboy's definitely got a lot more powers.
It would be an interesting fight for sure.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know which way that would go, because like I said, I don't know enough about Hellboy. Because I don't think. I mean, and even in the movies, I think they were downplaying his powers a lot based on, they kind of had him, especially in the first movie, because he, didn't know where he came from and all that kind of stuff. So, it's kind of gone back and forth. So again, it was one of those comics I never read back in the day. Was very aware of it, knew who Hellboy was, but didn't ever read a single issue of the comic. But loved the first 2 movies, the Guillermo del Toro movies. I thought were really good. I think they're really good comic book movies. That last one that came out here, what was that? 3 or 4 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. I can't even remember when it came out. That thing was so forgettable. Do you even remember it? That nope. Hellboy movie? Yeah, there was a Hellboy movie starring David Harbour, Hopper from Stranger Things.
Really?
As Hellboy. And I watched it once and went, oh, it was okay. And then I kind of just forgot everything about it. Like, I don't remember much about the movie itself. It was a very forgettable movie. I know it didn't do well at the movies, and it is not rated very highly. But
see, I don't even think that I knew that they did a third one. I only seen the first.
Well, and it's not. It has nothing to do with the first 2. It has nothing to do with the Guillermo del Toro movies at all. This is like a whole new take. And I remember before seeing it, I had heard, well, this is supposed to be a new take on Hellboy, and it's supposed to be more accurate to the comic. And I was like, all right, cool. I mean, I'd never read the comic, but I was like, cool. I'm always down for something that's more comic accurate, even if I hadn't read the comic. But I just didn't find it very entertaining at all as a movie. Like, I like the characters, but like the Guillermo del Toro movies just succeed. Like, those are movies I can just keep rewatching. And the first one came out 20 years ago now at this point, almost. It was like 2003, 2004. I can't remember. And so they're older movies, but they hold up. Those movies hold up, and I really like them. I find them very enjoyable to watch. That last one was just, I don't remember if it was 2018, 2019. I don't remember when the movie came out.
I know there for a while, Ron Perlman was advocating on social media and everywhere, trying to get a Hellboy 3 with him playing Hellboy.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. I would have enjoyed it. I mean, he's kind of old now, so I don't know. He could. I mean, I get it. He's going to be in makeup and all that kind of stuff, and they've got stunt doubles, so I'm sure they figure it out. But I really liked him as Hellboy. I liked those movies.
Same here.
They worked great. I think they hold up. But from what I've heard from people who've read the comics, is they were not as comic book accurate as they could have been. They were much more a Guillermo del Toro movie than an accurate representation of the Hellboy comic books. But I don't know. That could just be speculation.
I think I've liked just about everything Guillermo del Toro has come out with.
I do too. Now I will say that new what is it, Cabinet of Curiosities on Netflix. I've watched the first 3 episodes and haven't liked any of them yet. I know there's like 6 episodes total, I think. So I haven't watched the next 3. The first 3 weren't bad. They just were kind of meh. Not really anything to get excited about, in my opinion. But I also understand, like, those aren't just his stories. Like, he's kind of the host and producer and all that kind of stuff. But it's not like he wrote those stories. Right. So maybe that's why. Because in general, I do like Guillermo del Toro's stuff. I mean, I even like watching some of his, or I like watching all the movies that he's done, even when I have to like read a movie. I know some people hate reading movies. Oh no, I enjoy it. But like Pan's Labyrinth. Have you ever watched Pan's Labyrinth? Fucking love that movie. That movie's fantastic. There's another one he did that I'm blanking on the name of it, where they go and they buy an old house that used to be an orphanage, and I'm trying to remember the name of it. But anyway, that's another really good Guillermo del Toro movie. Like, he's done some really good stuff, and in general, I like Guillermo del Toro's movies. But that Cabinet of Curiosity is just not. I don't know, man. It's just not. It's not really doing anything for me. I'm not gonna sit here and say it's bad because I don't think it's bad. It's just the stories aren't really like hooking me. Like there's really not. There was one about rats killing people, and I was like, okay, I'd rather watch Willard.
Exactly. I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, and it's just like it was like they were just 3 stories that I just didn't care about. They were okay. They were well acted. I mean, it looked like they had a good budget to put them together. Special effects were good. Just wasn't very interesting story for me. So I don't know. Well, I need to watch the other 3 episodes and see if they're better. I know one of them's supposed to have Andrew Lincoln in it, and from what I've seen from the reviews, I've heard that's the best episode. And I haven't seen that one yet. I don't know which episode it is, but it's certainly
probably going to be the last one.
Probably. So, but yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see.
As far as subtitle movies, as long as the movie itself is good and captivating, I don't mind reading what's going on. Like Train to Busan.
Oh, Train to Busan is movie. Amazing. I love that movie. That's in my top 3 zombie movies of all time. Like, I love that movie. That movie's great. And I love me some zombie movies. Zombie movies, even the shitty ones, are always up for some fun. You know what I mean? Even like all the Return of the Living Dead movies, which are arguably not that great. Mm-hmm. But they're fun. They're fun movies. Yeah, exactly. My top 3 are Dawn of the Dead, the 2005 remake.
Yep.
Shaun of the Dead. That movie it is not just funny. It's a legitimately good zombie movie. Mm-hmm. And then Train to Busan. Those are my 3 favorite zombie movies right there.
I wish they would have came out with the Shaun of the Dead too.
I do too. I mean, I'd heard for years there's been rumors that they were going to do another one. I mean, who knows if they ever will. Part of me understands why they haven't and even appreciates it, because sometimes with movies like that, you go and do a sequel and it
sucks.
If it's not like perfect, then it almost kind of taints the original. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Totally, and so I mean, I'm okay with. I would love to see them do another one, but I'm okay with them not, because I can still watch Shaun of the Dead. That movie holds up, even though it's like 20 years old or something.
Mm-hmm. Almost 20 years old. What's the other guy's
Nick
name?
Frost.
Nick Frost. I
Yeah.
fucking love those two.
Oh, they're great. I love that whole what they call the Coronado trilogy, which is Shaun of the Dead,
At World's End,
At World's End, Hot Fuzz. That's the three. Yeah. I love all those movies. Those movies are great.
Did you know the Hound was in Hot Fuzz?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that movie's great. That movie, I think, I think that movie and At World's End got kind of overlooked.
Yeah,
because they came out. Everybody remembers Shaun of the Dead, and everybody loves that movie. But I don't think people have really given the time and attention to those second two movies like they should, because they're fantastic.
That one scene in Hot Fuzz where that top of that steeple fell on that dude, that was fucking gnarly, dude.
Yep. It's great.
Split him from head to asshole.
Yep, it's great. Those are great movies, man. Incredibly rewatchable movies. So I'll just say, if you're out there and you've never watched At World's End and you've never watched Hot Fuzz, but you've seen Shaun of the Dead and you liked Shaun of the Dead, like, you got to watch those two movies, man. They're great.
How would
you even if you haven't seen Shaun of the Dead, you still need to watch those two movies. Even if you don't like zombie movies, go watch Hot Fuzz. It's not a zombie movie. It's a cop movie. And At World's End is kind of I don't even know how to explain that movie. I don't know how to explain it.
Well, in At World's End, aren't they doing is that the one with the bar hopping?
Yeah, they're doing bar hopping in their hometown.
Yeah.
Time travel.
And I don't want to spoil anything for the end, so I don't know how to explain it without spoiling it, because it takes a hard left turn in the third act. And it's not just a bar hopping movie anymore. But it's a really good movie.
Yeah, just watch all three of them and you'll thank us later.
Yeah, they're great.
How would you rank all three of them? What order would you put them in?
I would say, honestly, I would rank them in the order they came out. I'd say Shaun of the Dead is the best, then Hot Fuzz, then At World's End.
I would agree.
So, and that's not to knock World's End. It's still a great movie, but when compared to the other two, I think it's
and they have nothing to do
the
with
least
each other,
good
right?
one.
They don't tie.
No, they have nothing to do with it, other than they're written and directed by the same guy and star the same people, but they play different characters and a different story and a different everything each movie. So,
was it one of those things where, if the first one was successful, then he got the next movie from the production house, or did he have to go get each one separately?
No, it was one of those things where, because he had done. This all came from I don't know where he got
did a student movie or something, right?
He might have. The first big thing I know of that he did was Spaced, and it was a TV show, a British TV show, late 90s, early 2000s. I can't remember. That became very popular. I actually got them all on DVD. It was only 2 seasons, but it was really good. If you were watching this show, you would love Spaced, because it's about a couple of fucking geeks. It's a show about some geeks. And
which one is that one? I don't know if I've seen it then.
I don't think I've seen that one either.
Yeah, it stars Simon Pegg, and it's before he did any movies. He was in this TV show, and if you watch a TV show, you'll recognize a whole bunch of people who are in those 3 movies, because the guy kept bringing people back to be in the movies. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So, but yeah, Spaced is a great show. It's only 2 seasons. It's a British show. At one point, they tried to do an American version here because it was very popular in Britain. But you know how in Britain they do a lot of times, unless it's Doctor Who or Downton Abbey, right? There's a lot of stuff. Yeah, well, or they, also just because they tend to cut their stuff short. Even The Office was only 4 seasons originally in Britain, and then they brought it here and did 8. So it's just 2 seasons, but it's a great show. Lots of pop culture and geek references in it, because the main characters are all fucking geeks.
It says that the 2 people have to act like they're married to live in an apartment, so it's really just like a sitcom.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a sitcom basically, and it's a great show. It's funny. It's got lots of nerd shit in it. It's a good show. It's a really
nothing
good show.
to do with the zombies or sci-fi or
no, nothing at all.
Plain old. Okay,
nothing at all. It's its own thing, and it's from before Shaun of the Dead. It's before all the movies and things. It was back from when
it says 1999 to 2001.
Yeah. It was before. I don't even know if Simon Pegg had been in any movies at that point before this TV show. I know I don't think he had. I don't think he'd been in any movies. I think that was just a TV show he got. It was a fairly low budget TV show. And, but yeah, they tried to do an American version. I've only ever heard of it. I've never seen it. I don't even remember if it got a pilot at least. I don't know if it got any episodes that ever made it to air.
Oh, dude.
But there is an American version, and you can see episodes of it. Like, you can find them online. They exist. But from what I hear, it sucks. Huh?
I looked at his thing and his list of stuff. That movie was 1999. His list of stuff goes back to 95, and it's like a dozen things before that. So he was definitely up and coming when he did that. Like,
yeah, Spaced, and working on that show got him Shaun of the Dead, and Shaun of the Dead is what made him famous. And Shaun of the Dead what got him into movies.
Oh, you know what? After Spaced, he was in Band of Brothers. He was one of the people in Band of Brothers, the TV series.
Simon Pegg?
Yeah.
Who was he in Band of Brothers?
I don't know what it says. It just says William S. Evans in two.
He was probably just one of the British officers.
Yeah.
More than likely. Or he might have just been,
because this was before he was big yet. So probably just a back actor.
I got to figure this out. So Abraham was in it too from Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's a lot of people in Band of Brothers that like nobody knew at the time.
Because I didn't even know. What's the name in the dude from Friends is in Band of Brothers?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Michael Perry.
I don't know his name. Yeah, he was one of the main characters in Band of Brothers.
I still need to watch that because it was during the time it didn't have cable and stuff.
Yeah, I had to go back and watch it because when Band of Brothers came out, I wasn't really watching TV that much at that particular time. I didn't have cable. I wasn't, anything like that. So I actually had actually seen The Pacific First, which is the sequel show all about the Pacific Theater in World War II. And I'd actually seen that first because at that time when it came out several years later, I did have HBO. And so I watched it when it came out and it was so damn good. I was like, well, now I have to go back and watch Band of Brothers. And Band of Brothers is better than The Pacific. I mean, The Pacific's really good. If you've never watched The Pacific, it is definitely worth watching. It's a fantastic show. It's just that Band of Brothers is even better. So,
is Band of Brothers an overarching story?
Do what?
Is Band of Brothers an overarching story?
World War II.
Yeah, I mean, it
starts pre-D-Day. It's a true story about the 101st Airborne pre-D-Day through their training, through D-Day to the end of the war. And it's got some of the greatest acting and intros because it has the real guys telling you about the episode before it happens, telling their account of the events.
So instead of trying to be like a fake dramatization, it's more like they don't have to follow one person who lives through the whole war as a hero. It's like a fake hero. Like this is actually really
these are real guys, real stories of these. I would say a dozen or plus guys, and you follow all of their stories with like the lieutenant being probably the main character, but he's certainly not at the forefront the whole time.
They just kind of thread through or lace them together. Right?
I mean that's good because every time they would say, based on a true story, there's always like the
the guys literally will talk about the story right before you see it. So they're talking about their training, and then you see them training, and then it'll talk about D-Day, and these are like everything that I did a lot of stuff on it when it came out. I was huge on it. Everything that was shown was like 100% true, down to conversations, jokes, people's attitudes was all done. And like these guys were like subject matter expertise. The actors worked with the real live people, or like a guy who survived and would tell him, this is how he told jokes. This is how he walked. This is how he talked. This is how he held his rifle. Things like that, where they were constantly in hand. And the same guy who did Red Dawn and Saving Private Ryan, Dale something, the guy who does all the military stuff that helps like Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks and Red Dawn and We Were Soldiers and Platoon.
I know who you're talking about. I don't remember his name.
Yeah, that guy.
You're talking about Milius?
No. It's he's in Platoon. Anyways,
you're talking like an expert that helps with.
Yeah, he ran all it's the guy who ran the boot camp for Saving Private Ryan, where he put all the actors through a 2-week boot camp. Anyways, he was on this too. He's the one who's responsible for like all the minute things, like this is how guys held their canteen and this is how they wore this hat, shit like that.
That's cool.
Anyways,
that's good.
That like
helps with the realism and the accuracy.
You would be rare to find inaccuracies in Band of Brothers, down to everything.
Because I ran into a couple of. Well, I was gonna say this. I ran into a couple of guys that worked with Hollywood and actually put like actual knowledge for some of the people that don't know what they're doing. Like there was this older guy I used to meet at the ammo shop. He knew a lot about boats. He was like, it was weird. He was like an old man, kind of a special needs old man, but he'd been around and knew all about like military boats, and that was like his thing. They used to ask him out for certain stuff.
Yeah, I would say, you would be hard pressed to find a World War II piece of art that is better than Band of Brothers.
Out in the chat, Eric says Dale Dye is the guy.
Dale Dye. He's like Colonel Dye or something, is what they call him, Colonel or something. But he's the one who does all the big stuff and has for years. I'm sure he's kind of aging out now, but he might not be. But anyways, it's that small accuracy stuff, and the Band of Brothers has such a perfect balance of action, drama, and like really good story. And knowing that it's true just brings more substance to what you're viewing. These are real stories, real guys who fought a real war, and man, that's great. It'll really leave you riveted. If you haven't watched it, you got to spend the time.
How would you compare it to, say, like Hacksaw Ridge? Because that's one of my favorite war movies.
No, I mean Hacksaw Ridge is super cool and it's fun, but it's this is a whole nother
better.
This is a whole nother category because
I just watched Hacksaw Ridge the other day, and it's a little more like that. Like I was saying, like they take the person and they try to give you like an extract of everything he ever did in the whole war in like 15 minutes, and it just makes it look like he's a superhero.
Yeah, and so like this is you watch this and you have respect for it while you're watching it. That's how I say it. Like that's kind of how I view it. It's not something you just throw on. Oh, cool, whatever. Like no, this is real. They're
not trying to tell the story. They're trying to archive the story.
Yes, I would say that's a really good way to say it. They're trying to archive this story for future generations to appreciate the sacrifices what could be considered the greatest generation made.
While they had both the CGI and the people around, because before that you get there were some cool movies of the war when they still had all the stuff from the war, but they just ran around being yahoos because they didn't care. The war just ended. Nobody was really documenting. They were just playing war movies.
And that's
then once you get like documentaries, they're boring and nobody knows what's going on. So this is like a mix, right?
So a good example of that is The Longest Day. The Longest Day is great. It just it's a piece of its time, and unless you can appreciate it is what it is at the time, you don't understand the caliber that it delivers. This is 21 years old, and it looks amazing because it has the balance of real practical effects meshed in with CGI. So it's not CGI heavy. The combat is done amazingly well with majority, I would say like 95% practical effects, with squibs and bombs and the weapons are shooting like real rounds that you could tell it's not blanks or things like that, or whatever they did for the process. But it's top tier.
What platform can you watch it on?
HBO Max.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I would watch this 100% before I touch the Pacific. So.
Well, you will appreciate Band of Brothers more if you watch the Pacific first.
Exactly.
And like I said, the Pacific's good. It's really good.
Yeah.
But it is not as good as Band of Brothers.
It's okay. You know how Saving Private Ryan was amazing? Like everybody like that. Band of Brothers is 10 hours of that. And it's every episode is as good as Saving Private Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I can give it to you. If you've seen Saving Private Ryan, it's amazing. It's awesome, and it holds up to time. It's 10 hours of that.
Let's check it out.
Yeah. All right, let me get a super chat. Oh, Couple the Shoot says, please unban me from NEA Discord, please.
Honda.
You need to talk to Honda.
Yeah.
That's what needs to happen. You need to talk to Honda because regardless of whether it was a joke or whatever, you tried to dox him on Discord. And Honda's one of my mods. And even if I did unban you, he would just ban you again. And I would let him. So you need to get with Honda and make up. That's what needs to happen because doxing is not cool. Whether you thought it was being funny or whatever, I don't know. I don't care. It has nothing to do with me. But I'm going to respect Honda's wishes until he says, no, it's fine. We talked about it. We made up, blah, 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 whatever. I don't know. Not my business. But that's what I have to say about that. So
yeah, because you tried doxing name, address, and place of work.
So anyway, let's see.
The name is Honda. He works in the parking lot.
He does. He parks there all day long. All right, Duke, I got some horrible news for you. And Duke's already asleep. Look at that. He muted himself to go to sleep.
Quick.
That was quick. Shit.
Jesus Christ. He made it maybe 10 minutes. Maybe 10 minutes. I'm just going to sit here and give him shit till he comes back. He probably just went to go do something, but I'm going to give him shit till he comes back. Anyway, I do want to mention Andor. I do want to talk about Andor here for just a minute because I was very public on saying the first 6 episodes of Andor did nothing for me.
I watched it. It's all right.
It's all right. Again, that's the best I could say about it. It's all right. However, the last 3 episodes I feel have been really good and definitely better. And if this keeps up, since it's going to be 12 episodes total, if the final 3 episodes come out, I think the show will redeem itself in my eyes. Because if at least half of the show is really good, the way the last 3 episodes have been, and the first is just a lot of buildup, which is what I felt like the first 6 was, I can look at it as a whole season and go, okay, it was a slow first half, but it kicks it up on the second half. There's been plenty of shows that I've watched that are like that. It took me a few episodes before it kicked in and got good and that kind of thing. And they turned out to be really good shows. I don't know if that's what's going to happen here. We'll see. But I watched the latest episode on Wednesday when it came out. It was good. I enjoyed it quite a bit. And I hope it stays good. Because I want this show to be good. I want to enjoy this show. And the first 6 episodes, granted, they dropped the first 3 all at once, which was a big help. Right? You didn't have to wait week to week to watch those. But then the next 3 you did. And the next 3 were okay. At best, they were okay. So, and maybe this is just a show that's better binge watched. I don't know. You know what I mean? Because it's like and it really does feel like each 3 episodes should be 1 episode. That's what it feels like. Each 3 episodes is like its own little story. And the first 3 episodes were this story about how, Cassian Andor got involved with the rebellion. And to sit down and watch all 3 of those at once was much better than the next 3 episodes, which is all about setting up and then pulling off this heist. Those 3 episodes you had to wait 3 weeks to watch if you watched them week to week. And honestly, it was about the most boring heist I'd ever seen in a television show or movie. It just was. Especially with 2 full episodes of setup before you get to the 3rd episode where the heist actually takes place. And there was a lot of stuff in those 3 episodes. Honestly, I feel like these, these 3 episode chunks should all be released at the same time, like they did with the first 3, and it would make it much more watchable and much more enjoyable. But like I said, last 3 episodes have been really good. I've dug it. I hope the last 3 of the season will be good. We'll see. I will discuss more about this next week after this week's episode, and we'll see if it's good. I hope it is. I want it to be good. It's Star Wars. I want Star Wars to be good. I want to enjoy Star Wars. I fucking love Star Wars. I've loved it since I was a little kid, and I want Star Wars to be good. So I hope it is. I hope this show ends strong and gets me excited for a season 2, because they've already said there's going to be a season 2. It already got renewed for season 2. So we will get another season of this. I want it to go out strong, and I want to be excited for season 2. So
I watched it, right? And I don't know what show I ended on, but I thought it was over. I didn't know they were still doing it. So it's so much of a boring story that I thought it was over. And I was just like, oh, well, I guess that's the end of the season. I had no idea that there's still more to come.
I was about to say, where did it end?
That's what I'm wondering. I'm looking now to see that I know I watched 7, so I'm looking to see.
Well, there's been 9 episodes total.
Yeah, but I just watched it the other day, and I watched all of them, like say binged them. So I don't remember which episode I ended.
Did it end after they? Did it end after they pulled off a heist and stole a ship?
See, I watched 2 other stuff since then, so I'm trying to catch.
What was he in prison when you last watched it?
Probably. I think I watched to the end of 9. Did 9 just come out yesterday?
9 just came out on Wednesday.
Okay, then I probably watched till the end of 8 and thought that was the end for some reason.
Oh, okay.
Good. So I got 3 more episodes.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, it don't sound like it's good if only the last 3 was the last good parts of the show.
It's just it's like a story. It's not Star Wars as much as like it's a story in Star Wars.
And in their defense, they said that. They said that before the show came out. They said, this is a character story. This is not traditional Star Wars. There's not going to be any fan service in this. This is telling a specific story about the beginnings of the rebellion, and it's going to focus on this one character. They straight up said, this is a drama. This is not an adventure story.
It doesn't need to be all that. I mean, you can make good stories, and you don't even have to use fan service. It was just like, when it comes to that one, I have no problem because it's Rogue One. Like, instead of the what most fans are pissed about because when they start messing around with the original trilogy shit, or any stuff like that. But I know I want it to be good, but it's better if Disney doesn't own Star Wars. But that's a whole different other story, unless their company goes under,
which is not going to happen.
I mean, hey, you can brag. I mean, companies fall. That has happened.
Wow. It like I said, it so far, it's been 2/3 okay and 1/3 good. So we'll see after the next 3 episodes if it's half okay, half good, or what. I don't know. Still got 3 episodes left. So
when's the next Star Wars thing up? Like when?
Mandalorian, I think, comes out in January or February. I think the season 3 of Mandalorian.
Then when's that other show? Because I know they're gonna do one with her.
Oh, Ahsoka.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Ahsoka comes out sometime next year. I don't know when.
I take you're probably more excited for that because that one looks like it's gonna be all action. Probably.
Yeah.
Any more movies?
No, there's no movies.
All we know is about those movies is are they still doing with the ones with the guys from from Game of Thrones, ironically, and they still doing that whatever trilogy. That's the kicker I want to know about is what they're gonna do with the movies because they really did paint themselves to a corner.
I don't think they're ever going to revisit that 35 years later timeline ever again from those last 3 movies. They will never revisit that time period in Star Wars again.
You don't think so? Really?
No, they will never revisit that period of time ever again. Because while those movies made money, and while I can sit here and say the first one I actually really liked, even though it was just a new spin on A New Hope, I still think it was a good movie. But that trilogy as a whole is so disliked and so controversial, they will just never touch that time frame again. And there's no reason to. They shot 35 years into the future after Return of the Jedi. There are so many stories, as they are proving, there are so many stories to tell from before the original trilogy to within 35 years after the original trilogy. And if you look at Mandalorian, Andor, Obi-Wan, Rebels, Clone Wars, this new show they're coming out with, Acolyte, like all this stuff, none of this stuff is getting anywhere near.
But it won't change
of those last 3 movies.
It doesn't change. It doesn't change the fact that they're so bad that it's ruined it.
Yep. Well, there's that,
it has ruined it forever because no matter what, I know how Luke Skywalker's story ends, and it's bad, and it's unforgivable. And
everybody used to say that they ruined Star Wars with those first 3, and now they made it even worse with the last 3, so they could make it even worse again.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. So I was one of those people who said they ruined Star Wars with the prequels. I will say, 20 years later, I don't hate those movies anymore. They're way better than I remembered. They're way better than I originally thought. Now, part of that appreciation is because of shows like Clone Wars, which made me appreciate that era, made me appreciate characters like Anakin Skywalker and stuff that I didn't appreciate the first time I watched those movies, because I grew up on the original trilogy, right? And when those movies came out, I was disappointed. And then years pass, I watch Clone Wars, I watch Rebels, I go back, I rewatch these movies again, and I have a new appreciation for them. And I no longer think they ruined Star Wars the way I thought they did at the time. So it's a matter of perspective. It's a matter of how old you are. Look, whether you want to admit it or not, whether I want to admit it or not, there are a lot of people who like that new trilogy. It made a lot of money, and there are people who still like those movies. Now, are there as many people as who don't? I don't know, but there's still a lot of people who like those movies. I just choose to ignore them.
I mean, I see more people like those extra stuff, like the shows more than the movies. But I was going to say, they still actually are planning to do another set trilogy, like whatever, 10, 11, 12, whatever the numbers are. But
no, they were never
that. I mean, it ain't got to be fit. I could see them throwing it like, 100 years later in the future or something. Because I don't think they're never going to connect anything related to.
No, they're never going to. They're never going to tie anything back to that last trilogy. They will never do that time frame again. They will ignore it. They don't talk about those movies. Disney doesn't talk about those movies. Lucasfilm doesn't talk about those movies. They have no plans to everything they have laid out of shows and things that they want to do, video games, everything. Nothing comes close to touching that time frame. Okay? And they know that. They know that, and they're staying away from it. That is everything they are putting out there into the world is saying we are never going back there again. Short of them actually saying it, if you look at all the plans they have for Lucasfilm properties, nothing touches that. They don't mention them. They don't talk about them. They don't have any plans to do any projects anywhere near that time frame, which is all but them saying, yeah, we know we should never do that again. They're just not saying it publicly, but their actions are saying they are never going to touch that shit again. And they don't need to, because they have things like Mandalorian, which is fucking awesome. They have animated series, whether they want to keep doing stuff with Clone Wars type stuff or whatever they want to do, they can keep doing that. They can do new shows, whether it's Obi-Wan or Andor or whatever, despite what I may think of the first 6 episodes of Andor. That show is fucking loved. Like, it gets the best fucking reviews, both from critics and audiences all over the fucking internet. Like, people love this fucking show. I may not be that thrilled about it and think that the first 6 episodes were only okay, but I'm in the minority. Most people who've watched Andor fucking love it. So, and everybody loves Mandalorian. And Ahsoka, I mean, shit. Ahsoka is a beloved character. They're putting people in charge of that show, like Dave Filoni, who know how to tell stories about that character and the characters that are going to be in that show. Ahsoka's basically going to be a spinoff from Star Wars Rebels, which was a fantastic fucking animated show. I loved it. I loved Rebels more than I liked Clone Wars. And they're bringing in Grand Admiral Thrawn, and they're doing a lot of cool stuff. They don't need to touch any of those trilogy movies ever again. They've got so much shit going on that for the most part people love. Even if you're not that crazy, like a lot of people weren't that crazy about Obi-Wan. Guess what? A lot of people still were. Like, overall, and as I've said before, and Duke, you and me have talked about this before, I think in general, Obi-Wan was good. There was just too much filler. Like, it would have, there's enough really good stuff in that to make a great 2.5-hour movie. Mm-hmm. And I still appreciate the stuff that was in Obi-Wan that made those parts of that 6 episodes that would have boiled down to a fantastic movie. There's a lot of filler in it to stretch it out to 6 episodes, There's a lot of stuff we didn't need that was unnecessary to stretch it out to 6 episodes. But that doesn't mean all in all, there still isn't a solid 2.5 hours worth of fucking great content in there that told a really good story, because there was.
Well, and I think that's my opinion is that pre A New Hope, that's a really fun space to be in. I like that. The 10 years before A New Hope, that's where I want to stay, because that's a really fun time. That's the Empire at its prime. It's the building of the Rebel Alliance. It's all this fun stuff where we could kind of sneak some cool Jedi stuff in. And I still got some hope for I still hope for Mace Windu, because that's what I prefer.
Yeah, I would love to see more Mace.
Overall,
when I look at Star Wars as a whole, when I look at the original trilogy, when I look at all the books that I enjoyed throughout the 90s, when I look at the prequels, when I look at all the animated series, when I look at the series that have been on over the course of the last 4 years or 3 years or whatever it's been now on Disney, when I look at the new movies that have come out, overall, I still really like Star Wars. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of episode 8 and 9. And if I never see those 2 movies again, I'll be happy, right? Like, that's fine. But guess what? They're right there. They're right there. They're right there.
Oh, these?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, the stuff's right there.
thanks.
Sorry, my nephew's here. He's getting some toys that I gave him. So,
Hello.
they said hello. But short of those 2 movies, right? And then I will also say the Bad Batch TV series did nothing for me. That was not great. It was just too kid. It was too kid focused. Like, it was a kid show, and that's fine. They want to do that. Hopefully, kids loved it. That's cool. But it just wasn't for me. Outside of that, I love Mandalorian. Obi-Wan had a lot of good in it. Andor's been okay and then good. We'll see how that one plays out, right? I still liked Boba Fett, even though I know a lot of people had a problem with it. But overall, I still liked it. I've come to a new appreciation for the prequels. I love Clone Wars, love Rebels, love Rogue One. I think Rogue One is second only to Empire Strikes Back. And even Solo, I thought was a good, fun movie. It's not great, but it's fun, and I still like it. So overall, there's way more good Star Wars for me than there is bad Star Wars. There's only a couple things that are bad Star Wars at this point, and
So
that's even under Disney.
I'm sorry.
The only one thing I like out of Disney, and that was Rogue One.
What are you gonna say, Corey?
As someone that grew up with the original 3, like we all did, I loved those 3. And with the ones that they started coming out with after that, I wasn't too impressed, so I kind of fell off the whole Star Wars bandwagon. Where would you suggest? Yeah. Where would you suggest, someone like me who hasn't seen any of the more recent ones in the last 10 years to start?
I would say watch them in the order they came out.
Just watch them all.
Yeah, I would say watch them in the order they came out. Like I know some people are like, oh, you got to watch it in chronological order. No, you don't have to. Like, I mean, if you wanted to, you could, and there's like whole guides online that tell you, okay, watch this one, then skip to this show, and then go back to this movie, and you could do that shit, but I don't think it's necessary at all. You watch them in the order they came out, and the story works, and the story flows, and it makes sense, and there's really no reason to watch it outside of that. Like, it's not like people can't comprehend, oh, Rogue One took place before A New Hope. That doesn't mean you have to watch Rogue One first. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, like, I say just watch them in the order they came out. The stories make sense and work well, and it's not going to be confusing or anything. Obviously, the biggest time investment is Clone Wars. And I don't know if you ever watched that, but
yeah, I watched that one a long time ago.
Have you ever watched the final season of Clone Wars?
No.
Okay, because that just came out in 2021. I think January 2021, they dropped a 7th and final season of Clone Wars, even though Clone Wars hadn't been on at that point in 8 years, I think. And because where Clone Wars ended the first go around, we hadn't gotten to Order 66 or any of that stuff yet, right? So the final 10 episodes of Clone Wars dropped in early 2021, and it finishes out the Clone Wars series and goes all the way up into Order 66. So the last 4 episodes of Clone Wars are some of the best Star Wars I've ever seen, period, hands down. It's 4 episodes that make up 2 hours. That four episodes right there could have been a movie I would have gone to see at the movie theater, by the way, because it takes place right alongside the events of Revenge of the Sith, right? Except you're seeing it from Ahsoka's point of view. You're seeing all the same things happen, but in Revenge of the Sith, you're watching it from Obi-Wan and Anakin's point of view, and they're the main characters. In the last 4 episodes of Clone Wars, Ahsoka is the main character, and it's all the same things are happening. There's even some of the same scenes happening that were in the movie or in that last season of Clone Wars. And so you're watching Order 66 play out from her point of view and the stuff she goes through with some of the clones and some of the other characters and things like that. So, yes, if you haven't seen the last season of Clone Wars, that's a must-watch to finish out that story.
Then they had
I'll probably have to rewatch Clone Wars because, like I said, it's been a long time since I've seen it. So just to refresh my memory.
Yeah, and that's a big time investment because it was 6 seasons. The first 2 seasons are like 22 episode seasons.
Damn.
So that's a lot. I think season 3 is like, after season 3, I think they go down to like 16 episodes or 14 episodes a season or something like that. So it gets a little bit easier to watch, where you could probably watch a season in, like a day.
Clone Wars gives you like a lot more depth of Star Wars, like new planets, and you get to like go into different realms that this movie's just never.
Well, I was going to say that might be a better depth for him to watch it. I think that's
and by the way, for anybody that's curious, whoever wants to watch Clone Wars but just don't want to watch every single episode, so in my Discord, under Star Wars, there is a oh crap, I need to put this in the Geek Fusion Discord because I haven't done this yet. But there's, I think he put in a link. Anyway, Jolly came up with a list that he did a document on of every episode of Clone Wars and which ones you have to watch, which ones you don't have to watch but are still good episodes, which ones you can skip, all that kind of stuff. And he goes through the entire 6 seasons. And it's great. Like, Jolly did a fantastic job. Okay. And so that's in there on Discord, and it's that list of those episodes that he put together. So if you want to kind of go through it quicker to rewatch it and just watch like the must-watch episodes that you really need to watch, you can go by that.
No, I think I'll just watch them all, in order just to get the full scope of the storyline.
Yeah. I will say Clone Wars, like I said, Clone Wars helped me appreciate the prequels more. And then also, who's echoing?
Honda.
Honda. Oh, Honda's here? Fucking shit. And then I will say Clone Wars made me appreciate Anakin Skywalker as a character, which I did not in the prequels. Mm-hmm. And so Clone Wars got me to like really like, I actually liked him as a character. He was great. So
you're saying you respect Darth Vader?
I do, yeah. And with the Clone Wars, he has a much better story arc between the prequels, Clone Wars, and then going into the original trilogy than he would have had without Clone Wars. He's a much more well-rounded character. He actually became one of my 2 favorite Star Wars characters. It's him and Han Solo are my 2 favorite Star Wars characters. And that is exclusively because of Clone Wars. So,
which one was 8 and 9 that you said was horrible?
8 and 9 is Return of Rise of
Skywalker,
and Last Jedi. Those 2. Yeah. Okay. Those 2, if I never watch them again, I'll be fine. So,
what I like about
7 was okay on its own.
I thought 7 was actually good, and in fact, really good. But you have to understand, it's just a redo of New Hope.
That's my problem.
And I was okay with that because J.J. Abrams basically said before the movie came out, said, "Look, this is my homage to A New Hope. That's what this movie is. It's all about nostalgia. It's all about telling a story that everybody already connects with. It's about putting new characters in a very similar situation to what we've already seen. It's about the essence of Star Wars. And I was like, all right, cool. And then I went and saw it, and I was like, yeah, that was basically just a new version of A New Hope, but I'm okay with it because it was done well. So I like that first one, whatever it was called, Force Awakens. Yeah, Force Awakens. I like that one.
I like the part in 9 how they have all those million, or I don't know, dozens of millions, I don't know, thousands of those triangle ships. I thought that was pretty cool looking.
The ISDs, yeah.
Yeah, but that was it.
I think there is some good in Episode 9.
There's a giant.
Okay, I'm listening to what you said.
No, there is some good in Episode 9. There is some good in Episode 9. I mean, it's the only one of those three where Kylo Ren is actually a likable character, where he actually has good dialogue, doesn't act like a fucking spoiled twat, where he actually gets a redemption story. It brings back all these old characters, including Lando Calrissian and so many others. It actually tells a decent story. The problem with Episode 9 is because of what happened with Episode 8 and all the stuff because basically J.J. Abrams was brought in to direct the first movie and kind of give the beginning of an overarching story. And he sat down with Lucasfilms and like drew out, okay, this is where these 3 episodes should go. Right? And then he did the first one, and the next one was going to be done by Rian Johnson, and that was going to be it. And it was going to be 3 different directors, 3 different movies, 1 basic storyline that J.J. Abrams helped line out. Right? And he did the first one and got the ball rolling. Rian Johnson did the second one. They completely rewrote everything. It threw everything off track that J.J. Abrams was trying to do.
Yeah.
So then when it doesn't go the way they want, instead of at that time, they were like, oh, we'll just have Rian Johnson do the third one. And then they were like, well, no shit, we can't do that. And now we don't have that other director. Well, everybody loved Force Awakens. Let's bring J.J. Abrams back. So they bring J.J. Abrams back and go, okay, look, we need you to fix this. We know you started it, and then we messed it up in the middle, and now we need you to fix it. And I truly believe he did, not that it's a good movie, I truly believe he did the best he possibly could with that movie. And while it still is not good, I appreciate that he at least tried.
It's probably far better than what they could have done it.
The good in Episode 9 is like, your dog ate the wedding ring and you're waiting around for it to take a shit so that you can wade through the shit to find the ring.
Not bad of an analogy, Honda.
No, it's not a good movie, but it's better than if they had let Rian Johnson do it.
Who did the second one?
Well, he did his one.
That's Rian Johnson. Rian Johnson did the second one.
And
that's who was going to do the third one until everybody fucking hated it so much that they brought J.J. Abrams back from the first one to try and fix the last movie.
Was he like freebasing fucking estrogen and soy at the time, or like what the hell?
I have no idea. I have no idea.
Damn.
I don't know.
Okay, I don't want to reroute too much, but also don't forget, Matt, they can remake those movies again. Don't be surprised Disney won't do that.
I hope that they like fucking Luke Skywalker wakes up from a nightmare.
No, look, first of all, I do not believe they will ever touch that time frame again, as I said, and I think Disney Lucasfilm has given us more than enough clues to say they will never touch that time frame again.
Is it because they don't want to fuck it up or what?
Because they just don't want to touch it again.
Okay.
It's not they don't want to fuck it up. They just want to pretend like those movies don't exist. Okay, those movies made them a lot of money, but people did not like the last 2. They want to pretend like those movies don't exist, so they just want to focus on stuff that they're relatively certain people will like. And so far, they've been doing a pretty good job about that. But if they ever did want to, let's say, erase those movies from existence in continuity, they already have the means to do so. If you've watched Star Wars Rebels, you know what I'm talking about, okay? Because time travel is possible for Jedis in the Star Wars universe, going back and fixing things or going back and talking to people so that the future turns out differently and things like that. is very possible in Star Wars. It has already been established that you can do so through the Force. It happens in Star Wars Rebels. And so if they ever did, I don't think they ever will. I just think they're going to just not acknowledge those movies ever again. But if they ever wanted to, they already have in canon, in continuity, a way to do it, to just make those movies disappear.
Okay.
And the events of those movies will have never happened. They have a way to do it. I just don't think they're going to, because even if you go to try and fix it, not only are you acknowledging that they suck, which Disney doesn't want to do that because those movies made them money.
Oh man,
But you're just bringing attention. Oh, hold on, but then you're just bringing attention again to those movies. So it is best for them, in my opinion, as a company, to just pretend like they don't exist. Never talk about them again. Never set any movies or TV shows in that time frame, which I think is only about a 2-year time frame between those 3 movies. Okay, so they just have to stay away from that. That's all they have to do. Just never discuss that 2-year period of time in Star Wars ever again. And I think that's what they're going to do.
I wasn't talking about I wasn't talking about those movies. I'm talking about the whole thing. Make Star Wars from the ground up.
Wait, you don't like any Star Wars?
No, I'm talking about I can see Disney doing that, remaking the whole thing.
Oh, no, they won't do that.
That would take so long, and I don't think they really give a shit to do
No,
that.
Plus, they built all that
They
physical
remade
stuff.
the old stuff before.
No, but see, here's the thing. Star Wars is way too popular. Again, as I said, regardless of what some people think about Disney Star Wars, overall, the majority of people like Disney Star Wars. Maybe not those last 2 movies that came out, but as far as all the series go, the comic books, the books that have come out, all the other stuff that's come out, Rogue One, Solo, Mandalorian, all that shit. Overall, Star Wars is still good, and most people agree with that. There have been some really bad misses with a couple of movies, but overall, it still makes them a fuck ton of money. It gets rated well by critics and viewers, and most people still like it. So there's no reason for them to go back and rewrite everything.
I might be with Man Geek on this one because, and here's why. They have no imagination or skill for writing whatsoever and have proven it again and again.
Thank you, Honda.
What are you talking about?
In the long run, yes, they might fucking do it. I'm not saying it's going to happen.
It would be like old men by that happen.
Something like that. They might be like, well, it would be great if we did this again. I wouldn't put it past them.
What are you talking about? You tell me Dave Filoni doesn't know how to write Star Wars?
I'm saying that Hollywood sucks and is not on our side.
Yeah. Okay, but I'm not talking about who's on whose side. I'm talking about their ability to write good shit.
Dave Filoni, they're not that good at writing shit.
Dave Filoni can write Star Wars like a motherfucker.
I ain't talking about Dave Filoni.
Well, Dave Filoni is who is in charge of Disney Star Wars right now. Anything that happens on Disney Plus. And since there are no movies on the horizon, period. By the way, those movies that were supposed to be done by the dudes from Game of Thrones got canceled 1.5 years ago. That shit's not happening. There are 0 movies on the horizon. Even that fucking Star Wars Rogue Squadron that was supposed to come out by the director of Wonder Woman and Wonder Woman 1984, they stopped talking about that after Wonder Woman 1984 came out, 8 months ago? And that movie fucking sucked and bombed? You haven't heard a peep about fucking Rogue Squadron anymore since then. There are no movies on the horizon. The only thing that is on the horizon right now that Disney has officially announced are all shows on Disney Plus, and Dave Filoni runs all that shit.
I heard they were going to make Rogue Squadron 1984, where a bunch of stormtroopers get popped out in 1984 and have to fight through a mall.
They might.
They were coming out with a brave new Star Wars. It's like Star Wars in the future, where it's like a dystopian future and everyone's on drugs, and there's these sand people who live in the middle of nowhere and don't fit into the grid or whatever, and fight against the system. And everyone has to take these pills to make them fucking happy and stuff.
No, that'd be too anti-woke. They wouldn't do that. They're not going to do that shit. I'm honestly, I am very surprised that, what was it, in 2021, they did that. I know nobody here watched it, but it was fucking great. That they did that Brave New World series on Apple Plus.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
It was really good. I'm surprised they did it because that is straight up some anti-woke messaging right there.
When was this?
Well, anti a lot of stuff.
Last year. Yeah, it was anti a lot of stuff, but
it was based on the book or just in the book?
Yeah, based on the book. Yeah, they did a new series. Came out last year.
Okay, so
it was good.
1984 is the television on the wall. Which one is Brave New World?
Brave New World is the one where in the future nobody's married, nobody has kids, babies are born in tubes, everybody's hooked on drugs all the time, obsessed with. I mean, in the original book,
and the guy and the girl run off to the woods.
Well, no, because the girl goes to visit what is one of these few places on Earth that's left where people live wild, as they call them. They live wild, which just means they live what we would call normal today, where they get married and have babies and all that kind of stuff. And they're considered like wildlife preserves. And she goes there and meets a guy who's the main character, and she actually brings him back to her, world, the modern world, with her. And of course, he shakes shit up. And it's very much anti corporatism, anti government control, and anti. It was very much it was very much like a commentary on a lot of things like communism and stuff like that. In the sense that, they live in a world where they discourage families and connections and relationships and keep everybody high on drugs all the time and don't question anything and work together as a society and all this stuff. And I'm going to have to mute Duke because he's fucking snoring and all that stuff. And so Brave New World was a take on pointing out how that is a dystopian future, and that's not what we want as human beings. Anyway, the show was really good. Came out last year. I heard it was supposed to get a season 2, but I haven't heard anything about
who's in it. Anybody I know?
Actually, the main guy in it is the guy who starred as Han Solo in that Solo movie. Okay. He's the guy. He's the guy that they bring back who grew up on the human preserve.
Is there any robots in it?
No robots.
So, can you find all these on Disney Plus?
What? A Brave New World? No,
all the Star Wars movies that we've been talking about.
Yeah, everything Star Wars is on Disney Plus right now.
Okay.
Anything Star Wars that has ever existed is on Disney Plus. I think,
with the exception of go watch real Star Wars,
the Christmas special. Yeah, you can go watch real Star Wars. You can watch all the movies, all the TV shows, all the cartoons, everything.
And it's all on demand. You could just sit down and run a marathon or whatever. Cool.
Yep. So, Jesus Christ, what's next? What did I have listed here? We kind of went off on a Star Wars tangent there.
Yeah, we did.
What's the next movies coming out?
I mean, high emotions in that series.
There is this show on Netflix that I wanted to, if you like supernatural shit and witches and stuff like that, there's a show on Netflix that I just watched over the last couple of days called The Bastard Son and the Devil Himself. And I won't give anything away, but it's about warring, groups of witches and stuff. And the main guy is like a kid that was born, from one group of the quote unquote good witches, and his father was from the quote unquote bad witches and shit. And it's a good show if you like that kind of supernatural shit and kind of a adventure story about this dude and him growing up, and he's like about to turn 17 and get his powers and shit, and everybody hates him because of who his dad was and stuff like that. It's a pretty good show. I liked it. I watched it. But yeah, it's called The Bastard Son and the Devil Himself. It's on Netflix if anybody wants to watch it. So
I'll save that.
Also, there's a show. Okay, did anybody else watch Mr. Robot, or was I the only one?
No, I didn't. That's the one with Rami Malek, right?
Yeah. Okay, so fucking fantastic show. Love that show. Hands down, one of the best shows in the last 10 years that's come out. Okay. Anyway, the guy who did that, Sam Esmail, who he's also the guy that's redoing Battlestar Galactica, by the way.
We got another one.
Yeah. So he did this
casually throw in there that Battlestar Galactica is being remade. Go ahead.
Well, he's been involved in it since Mr. Robot was over 3 years ago. It's in development. But anyway, he's got a show that came out that's only got one season called The Resort. And I'm trying to think what I can say about this show without spoiling anything. Okay, so the show is about this couple, this husband and wife, who go on vacation somewhere in I don't remember where it was, if it's in Mexico or somewhere in South America. Anyway, someplace south of the border. They go to this like little resort town, and the wife, on like a little adventure thing they were doing, finds a cell phone, and it's the cell phone of some kid who had disappeared 15 years earlier. And that starts this whole kind of like, her trying to find out what happened to this kid. That's all I can say about it. Because if you ever watch Mr. Robot, there's always more going on than what the story looks like it's going to be. He's very good at putting twists in things and putting in things you didn't see coming. So anyway, I watched the show. It's 10 episodes. They're I can't remember. They're like 40 minutes each or something like that. Anyway, it's called like I said, it's called The Resort, and it's pretty damn good. I liked it a lot. It was good. I wasn't sure. I because I watched Mr. Robot, honestly, is the only reason I started watching this. Was like, well, I like Mr. Robot, so let me see if this is any good. And it fucking twists and turns throughout the series. Because it starts off, honestly, it starts off, you're just kind of like, it's just people going on vacation. What's going on here? But then by the end of the first episode, you're like, oh shit, there's more going on. And then each episode that comes out, it's like, holy shit, there's more going on. Holy shit, there's more going on. Holy shit, there's more going on. And it's just like that through each episode. So I give it 2 thumbs up. It's a good show if you ever want to watch something that's fun there. So
last night, as I was getting ready for bed, I was like, you know what's a really good movie that I haven't seen in a long time? By really good, I mean I like it a lot. I don't really think it's a really good movie. Kroll.
Okay, yes. I have fond memories of this.
Night, and it's actually, it holds up. It's still fucking good. The story itself is a good story. The story arc is good. Even though like the fucking special effects or whatever kind of suck. And the fact that it's like aliens riding horses around and stuff is just like, what the hell? But whatever. You get past those parts. It's a great fucking story. It's
like a weird fantasy sci-fi movie. And I loved it as a kid. I want to say it's probably been 15, 20 years since the last time I watched it. But I have watched it as an adult. And the last time I watched it, I still enjoyed it.
Yes.
And watched it for a really long time. But as a kid and as an adult, I have enjoyed that show.
And then I was remember, oh, good.
From what I remember of alien movies that have Dungeons and Dragons in them with the deadly frisbee, it was my least favorite of those movies.
Deadly frisbee.
So then I got done watching that movie and I was still awake, and I'm like, I'm kind of in a nostalgic mood. I want to watch another movie I haven't seen in a long time that I thought was really good. That's probably not that good, but it's still good to me. So I watched Highlander last night.
That I can get behind. You're talking about the movie, not the show.
Yeah, the movie. The movie. Yes. And it was still fucking good. There's that part where the survivalist is like, I can't protect myself.
Yeah. Highlander is a movie I watch at least every couple years. And I love that movie.
Highlander's crazy. It's good. Like the sequels are insanely bad. And then they get worse. And then it just gets ridiculous. And then the TV show is epic. I really like the TV show.
The TV show was really good.
Connor McLeod? Yeah.
I never saw the TV show. What year was that?
Think of like the
early 90s
with shoulder pads and big hair. Oh man,
it was pretty good.
In the 80s are amazing.
Well, I mean, like each episode was like, here's a guy that I have to fight again, and then he like remembers like the first time that he met him back in the day, and they have like some flashback of like medieval Europe and stuff, and a sword fight that ended in like the guy getting away. And now flash forward, they're in like Los Angeles or whatever it's set in, and they have to fucking fight again and stuff. It's cool, dude. It's a good
show. Like right before Xena, so they didn't have a bunch of fake stuff. It wasn't a lot. It was like all physical effects still, and it was just they had digital down, but it wasn't Xena yet.
Funny thing that you mentioned Highlander. Have you ever checked the animated movie?
No. I never have. I keep meaning to watch this. It's like a futuristic fucking. I know it takes place in the future. This was one of these things that I heard had been a thing years after it had already come and gone. I think it was one season of like 12 episodes or something. It wasn't a lot from what I remember. I've never watched it.
The anime was actually pretty good for what it is.
But I've heard it's actually really good, and there's a lot. There's like whole like online communities dedicated to like trying to get it to come back or something, because apparently it was really good. But yeah, it's supposed to take place like in the future.
It says 1994. I wasn't watching TV then. I think it's all on YouTube though. I'm looking at it.
But yeah, I mean, you could find it. It ain't that hard to find that. I don't even know. I don't know if it is on Netflix, but yeah, the anime of Highlander is pretty good.
Yeah, I've heard good things. I've never watched it though.
Yeah, I just found it on YouTube. At least somebody's got it on YouTube. A whole bunch of 22 long episodes.
All right, cool.
And so today I was getting ready for my show tonight, and I'm like, it would be really nice if I could watch videos and be able to share the audio from it. Let me just go to Micro Center and get a mixer, right? And so I show up to Micro Center and I'm looking at mixers, and apparently the fucking microphone that I have won't work with most mixers. So they sold me on a Stream Deck, if you know what that is.
I do.
I've heard of it.
And I will tell you,
how much
I
is
am
that?
returning this piece of shit tomorrow because fuck this shit. You need a degree in computer engineering and fucking 20 classes to learn how to work it. And I spent 3 hours today trying to just figure out how to fucking, and I'm like, I gave up. And
this is why I've never bought one. I could, if you would have asked me, I would have told you not to buy one. I would have told you to just go buy a fucking USB mixer and be done with it.
How much was it?
$110.
Okay. That's not bad. What's so wrong with it? It just has a lot of knobs or something?
Well, it's got programmable buttons. It's got 15 buttons, and you can program each one of the buttons to be whatever you want it to be. Here,
it sounds like it sounds like the thing that literally everybody that does podcasts has.
Yeah, people use it all the time. Is this fucking
everybody has this?
I mean, you probably got to know exactly what to do because there's so much customization buttons.
And I went through this whole fucking tutorial about how to set it up and do this thing so that I could have it go through my have it pick up what's coming out of my speaker and run it through the stream. And then I was like, okay, it's done. Let me test it out. And I go into StreamYard and I fucking press the button, and all of a sudden my speakers don't work anymore. And it's just fuck you, dude.
I understand where you're coming from, Anna, because somebody gave me a music program one time because I know how to do music, but it's I never done it more digitally, and he gave it to me, this program. I'm like, I don't know what the hell to do with this thing.
So I'm going back to Micro Center tomorrow, and I'm returning this shit and buying a new microphone and an actual mixer.
This is what you need.
Because they have mixers there.
And I've told you before, this is the one you need to buy. It is the simplest fucking mixer that exists that does everything you want it to do. It is a Yamaha AG03. Okay? It works. It's great. It's simple and easy to use. It does all the stuff you need it to do. And it's perfect.
Well, I'm taking it back to tomorrow to Micro Center. I don't know if they have that particular mixer or whatever, but they have mixers there that will work. I just didn't want to get one because then I also had to buy a microphone to go with it as well.
You just need to make sure whatever mixer you get has loopback. If it does not have loopback, don't buy it because you won't be able to do what you want to do with it.
Okay, that's good to know.
Okay?
Matthew,
make sure you...
Wait.
Yeah. Make sure, because otherwise you're going to be pissed off when you bring something else home.
Text that shit.
Won't do.
Don't forget. Loop back. I'll
loop
forget
back.
when I get there tomorrow.
Think of loop back ribs, little loop back baby back ribs.
Yes.
And you'll remember it forever.
Does yours, Matt, have do you have sound effects that you just like to take and just press anytime you want?
I mean, no. I mean, what this does is make it to where I can just do anything I want on my computer and play it through it. That's what loopback is. Yeah, I can switch on the loopback and then come over to whatever the fuck. I don't know. Let's say
you'll never catch me, Veronica. Galaxor, I'm tired of your scheme.
I can play anything I want by flipping that loopback switch, and anything I play on my computer gets fed through the mixer, just like my microphone does, and it gets broadcast out to whoever.
Oh, that's cool.
That's what loopback does. I don't need to plug in anything. I can just have it on my computer. If I got certain sounds or anything like that, I can just play them on my computer. And as long as that switch is flipped, which is this little switch right here, this one right here, why isn't it blowing up? It says loopback right there on there. And you're fine. And I don't have to have any extra equipment or anything like that. I can do everything on screen on my computer with this fucking mixer.
Yeah, I'm super disappointed with the Stream Deck. It is not very user friendly as far as tutorials on how to do it. There's 45-minute videos online of how to set up one thing.
They're incredibly complicated.
And it's like a sound. And it's like a sound tech talking to other sound techs.
Yeah, and I'm just bro, I give up. I spent literally 3 hours today until I was so frustrated. I was like ready to smoke a cigarette and a bowl.
Yeah.
Damn. That's
And
bad.
I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna fucking take this shit back because fuck you.
Yeah, they're cool for people who have like YouTube channels where they're running like full studios of shit with multiple people and multiple microphones and multiple inputs and got to have multiple things from multiple computers pop up on screen to broadcast and stuff. They're very useful once you learn how to use them. Once you learn how to use them, when you're dealing with that much shit you're trying to broadcast out all at once, they can be very handy. You don't do that. You don't need to learn how to do any of that shit, and it is just more trouble than it's worth.
I have a $9 headset plugged into my microphone jack.
I mean, that works. So
Probably
anyway,
sounds
if they have this one, at least look at it and see if you can. If you don't want that one, at least find maybe something similar. But Loopback is what you're looking for.
Well, my one saving grace in the whole situation is Micro Center is a 12-minute drive from where I live. And I made sure that I could return it if I didn't like it. So
yeah.
What's Micro Center? Like a warehouse store?
Yeah, it's like the fucking computer parts and tech fucking superstore of the world. They have everything.
Do they have 3D printers in there?
Yep, they have multiple 3D. They had anywhere from I was looking at them today actually. They had everywhere from like a $200 3D printer that made like this cool ass skull that they had on fucking display, all the way to like this encapsulated like fucking awesome one that cost like $1,500. So like they had like all these different 3D printers on display ready to go.
That's how I can tell Tucson isn't that big of a town, because I don't think we have a store here that actually has a 3D printer like in the store to look at.
Yeah, dude, like you get, like the guy was like printing a goblet when I was in there.
Man, I don't know, man. If I was some of those areas like you guys were free, I would have been doing some 3D printing guns just for the fuck of it. Mm-hmm.
All right, Walt T2 in the chat says, what did you think of the new season of Lower Decks? I really enjoyed that show. Yeah, the new season was great. Lower Decks is great. Love that show. Said it many times. If you're a fan of Star Wars or Star Trek, I should say, excuse me, you got to watch this show. It's great. And if you're a fan of Rick and Morty on top of that, this is a great combination of the two. So it's a lot of fun. It's a good show.
How come Star Wars doesn't have a comedy version like that?
I don't know.
It would sell. I mean, people would watch it, wouldn't they?
Maybe.
Oh no, didn't they have Droids? Wasn't Droids sort of like that?
That show from the 80s? I mean,
yeah,
I guess
cartoon.
Well, it was for kids, but
yeah, I know, but that's about the only thing I can think of. That was like
I mean, maybe like it was kind of funny, yes, but it was for kids. Like Lower Decks is not for kids. I mean, it was
Disney ain't gonna go full adult on me stuff like that.
Yeah, but
You're
but anyway, good times, guys. All right, that wraps it up for today. We are done, ladies and gentlemen. We are finished up here. Geek Chat is over. It is time to go home or stay home. I don't know what the hell you're doing. So anyway,
time to go to my channel to watch an actual good show. I'm just kidding. But I'm going to do Late Night with Honda after this if you guys want to check it out.
I was going to say, I didn't know you were playing Star Wars on your channel now, but I guess not. Okay. All right, guys, that's it. We're done. We'll see you guys later. Yeah, that's it. I got nothing else to say. So deuces, yo. We'll see you later.
Later.